There's a major offensive underway right now by the Syrian government north of Aleppo. What's the latest? What's the situation on the ground?
Yes, of course. There's a major offensive since more than 48 hours, along with other offensives all over the country, in the south, in the region of Latakia. But this offensive in north of Aleppo is most significant because it is happening since 48 hours, as I said, with Russian air support, with Iraqi Shia militias on the ground, and the Lebanese Hezbollah on the ground fighting alongside the Syrian army. So as we can see here, the red areas, this is the town of Aleppo, the red areas are held by the regime, the green is the Kurdish forces, the rebellion in gray, and the black is the Islamic State region. So the aim of the government forces or loyalist forces is to make a link between those two red areas, because we have the towns of Nubul and Zahra. Those are Shia towns with thousands of fighters in them, but they were under siege by the rebels since many years. So the junction is being made, and as we speak, the Syrian forces are less than 2 kilometers away from making this junction. And we have another map which is more in details, if you can see it. So we see here the towns on the right, so Bashkoy, Ratian, Haddatain, and Ma'arat al-Khan. Fighting is ongoing there, and the towns of Nubul and Zahra on the left is the Shia towns that I was speaking about. And you see red line, it's about 3 kilometers that between those two fronts, knowing that Shia fighters from Zahra are trying also to get out of the town and to join the other forces coming from the east. So this is much significant on the strategic terms, because it will cut northern Aleppo, which is in junction with the Turkish frontier, where many rebel factions are getting aid from the region of Idlib, which is also vital to the rebels. So they will be stuck there. And as you said, the Russians are hitting very, very hard, and this is somehow shows us the importance that the regime is giving to this region.
So what impact is all of this having? The regime forces progress thanks to the Russians. What impact is that having on talks in Geneva?
It has a huge impact, but it shows us one more time that the regime and its backers, so Russians, didn't change since the beginning. For them, since 2011, all those fighting the regime are terrorists. And Lavrov said today that operations wouldn't stop until terrorists, as he described them, are put out of the equation. So, in a way, they are pursuing the same plan. And here we see, for example, T-90 tanks provided by the Russians to the Syrian army. Those are brand new tanks, knowing that Damascus was under embargo from getting arms. So now you see with Russian involvement, they have more and more arms, more and more sophisticated arms and ammunition, making them able to advance on the ground. But what we can conclude today is that those operations are in a way discrediting the negotiators in Geneva, because those people are supposed to be representative of people on the ground. And we know that a prominent military faction is represented by the head negotiator on behalf of the opposition, Jaloush, the head of the Islam army. So in a way, they are saying to this population, which is supposed to be represented in Geneva, that the people who represent you cannot even protect you. And the West abandoned you under the fire of Russia and the Syrian government. So in a way, this population will, at the end of the day, go and find refuge with more radical groups like Al-Qaeda, who refuse to negotiate, of course, or even the Islamic State. Today we know that many people fled to Turkey, but other people fled to the regions held by the Islamic State. So in this new equation, Assad and Damascus won't have anyone to negotiate with. And so they would be able to pursue the war, which is very logical from their side of the story, to pursue the war the way they see it, as a war against all their opponents.